Hello everyone and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is the Blue Collar Wine Show, where I try to help you spend your wine dollars wisely. How do I do that? I taste the wines in front of you, I tell you how I feel about them, and you can decide whether or not you want to spend your money on those wines. Hopefully you can find them. Not always available everywhere you go, but most of them are kind of in that average range, and I'll let you know if they're hard to find, because that's what I should do. That's what I should do. We're going to do Bordeaux blends. One from Bordeaux, classic, and one from Washington State. Both from the same vintage. I thought that'd be kind of fun. Although, I got a little bit fooled. San Juan Vineyards, our boys just down the road, put Cab Merlot on this one, and it is actually mostly Cab Franc. You know what? I would say shame on you, except that Chris Premise does a credible Cab Franc, but really, that's a little bit deceptive because not everybody likes Cab Franc, and a lot of people like Cab Merlot, thinking it's going to be Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot. Just saying. Be careful how you label them. Well, you could read the back label. It tells you, but right on the front, Cab Merlot. And I guarantee you there's a lot of folks out there that are not going to read the back label. Just the way it is. That's how people roll. They like Cab Merlot, they buy Cab Merlot, they expect Cab Merlot. Okay, I'm going to get off that soapbox right now. I did not look at the back label before I uncorked them, so shame on me for not looking back there. I did look at the back of the Bordeaux label because, a lot of wineries do not put the blend, but these guys did, which I really appreciate. So let's get started right off the bat. By the way, speaking of which, I'm going to ask you a question. See if you can come up with the answer before the end of the episode. I don't care if you Google it, whatever you want to do. Sometimes that helps you remember. But what is the percentage of the varietal that needs to be in a wine in the U.S. to be called that? In other words, if they call it a Cabernet Sauvignon, what percentage of Cabernet Sauvignon needs to be in that wine in order to call it a Cab Sauv? A Merlot, how much percentage of Merlot? Etc., etc., etc. Do you know the answer? Let me know. I'll let you know. Let me know. How are you going to do that? Talk through the camera? Well, you can comment if you want. But I'm not going to read that until later. Neither is any. Well, you can comment and put your answer down below. That would be a great idea. I will tell you at the end of the episode. Let's get started. A little bit of water on this glass. Got my little port boat we picked up in Portugal. Pretty cool. My wife liked that. I liked it too. Thought I'd throw it in the episode. By the way, Seahawks did an amazing job beating the Oakland Raiders. Now they have the Giants coming up fairly soon. And, the Giants are a good team, but they got spanked by the Colts recently. And let's hope that the Seahawks can deliver the same licking to them. Let's see what we get on the nose with this one. Oh, by the way, before you get Grand Bateau Bordeaux 2011, it rolls in at $11. Always looking for those Bordeauxs that are inexpensive but good, that deliver the goods. This is, and it says on the back, I think I mentioned that, is 75% Merlot, 25% Cabernet Sauvignon. And of course in Bordeaux, there's actually 6 grapes, but traditionally the 5 grapes of Bordeaux are Cab, Merlot, Cab Franc, Petit Verdot, and Malbec. And Carmenere used to be a big part of it. They no longer have it planted there, but that used to also be one of the grapes of Bordeaux. Let's see what we get on the nose. Very earthy. I get currants and boysenberry comes to mind. A little bit of crushed rock. I get a little leather, like leather soaked in boysenberry and currants. A little bit of coffee bean is coming through for me, which is interesting. Let's see what we get on the palate. Smooth. It's a smooth Bordeaux. Kind of boring. I use that term a lot of times. In other words, there's not a lot going on the palate. I get currants. I get a little bit of leather. That coffee bean seems to be coming through. Definitely a tobacco element coming through. There's some stuff going on, not very complex. It's 11 bucks. Now that being said, I have had some very complex or more interesting wines at $11. Had quite a few actually in my career. This one does not fall in that category. I get the tobacco on the finish, fairly weak finish. You know, overall just kind of a boring wine, just kind of there. You know, for those of you, this would be a great wine for those of you that want to dabble in Bordeaux, but it doesn't go super old world at all. At all. At all. It's pretty easy to drink. I would say this would be a great wine for the new wine drinker that wants to try Bordeaux. You could go here, you would not be offended at all. It's very smooth. It would go with food, not very well because it doesn't have much acid to it. Of course, it would go with food. I shouldn't say not very well, but you know, this would be a stew, red, you know, something not too spicy, something not too intriguing. You know, like I think a spicy steak, like if you season a steak, this might just bury it. I'm going C- on that. Not very interesting at all. Let's move on to the next one. This is one that kind of pissed me off with the whole bunch of Cab Franc, calling it a Cab Merlot. Chris, I'm just calling it as it is. You know, you gotta be careful with that labeling for those people that don't look at the back. Because there's some people that they just don't like Cab Franc. Cab Franc can be a little herbaceous from time to time. I noticed from Washington though it doesn't go there, so he may be safe on this one. This is 2011, tough vintage in Washington State. Now some winemakers liked the vintage. You know, there's some winemakers that like tougher vintages because they get more feminine wines, which some like. Let's see what we get on the nose with this one. Now these boys are really, literally just 3 miles north of here. Big fan of Chris Premise. I love Yvonne, the owner of the winery. She's a great lady, works very hard. Let's see what we get on the nose. See, right off the bat, I just get that green bell pepper, asparagus, twigs, you know, like salal leaves. Little black tea. See, I think what happens if somebody really thinks this is a Cab Merlot, they're not thinking it's going to be like this. Why don't you just put Cab Franc Merlot or Cab Franc? Well, you can't because it's, well, I almost gave away the percentage. Let me show you the label. I got a little carried away there. This is San Juan Vineyards, 2011 Cab Merlot, 60% Cab Franc, 10% Cab Sauv, 30% Merlot, Horse Heaven Hills, great appellation in Washington. And this rolls in at $14. There you go. Yeah, very green, a little dirty. I get a little dirt action, which is interesting. A little bit of like crushed rose petal. There's some currants and cherries coming through. A little challenged on the nose. The green comes through big time. They call it, like twigs and green bell pepper and asparagus and salal leaf. You get the picture. Let's see what we get on the palate. Not bad. Nice, full on the mid palate. Good fruit. I get a lot of currants. Get some blackberry element coming through there. Dark cherries for sure. Just a touch of green bell pepper coming through. Just a touch of that green salal leaf thing coming through. Actually, I'm pretty impressed. Nice job, Chris. I didn't think I was going to like it, actually. Tell you the truth. To be quite honest. I thought I was going to have to pan it because it was too much Cab Franc, but you know, I should know better because Chris does great Cab Franc. It doesn't necessarily, it goes more to that black olive. This definitely has some black olive components coming through on the back end. Nice red flowers. A little grip on the back end. This is serious wine. Tough finish. He did a nice job with this one. A little black licorice coming through with that red fruit and the dark fruits coming through. Gotta give this in another whirl. I like this wine. Now this wine, talk about the difference between the two. It's a few more, not too many more dollars, and you're getting much more complexity. You're getting the red flowers, the tobacco, the red cherries, the currants. You're getting earthiness to it. There's a lot of stuff going on in this wine, and it should improve. I actually had this out of barrel. We were both, Chris and I were both looking at it going, I don't know how this 11 vintage is going to work out. And he did a nice job of blending this wine. If you really suck the air through this baby, you get some of that green, but it's not a prominent part of it. I'm not afraid of the Camerlo labeling on this one, even though I think it's a little bit, you know, like, you know, I already said my piece on that. Nice effort. I'm going to go B on that one. I think it's a really good wine. I think it's going to evolve nicely over the next 4 to 5 to 6 years. Chris is typically, when they release their wines, and this is true, you have to wait 6 months to a year and a half, and they really start evolving. This has evolved incredibly from the samples I've tasted from barrel. I tasted the Cab Franc, I tasted the Merlot, I tasted the Cab, and they're definitely better than I thought they were going to be. Very little use of oak on these wines. Very nice expression of the fruit. Good job. I'm giving it a B. Thanks for watching. Did you catch the percentage? Like if they could call this a Cabernet Sauvignon, how much percentage of Cabernet Sauvignon would have to be in it? 75%. The other 25 can be whatever they want it to be. They can throw whatever they want in there, but it has to be at least 75% of that varietal to call it that varietal. Cheers, thanks for watching. Here's to keeping the snob out of wine.